Romantic horror story. 7 Vows with the Ghost Bride. Episode 5. Written by Arundhuti Sarkar. Ritvik's heart gave a sudden jolt as he stared at the mirror. For a brief moment, he had clearly seen a bride with a burnt face standing beside Emrinalini. Her eyes seemed to glow like fire. But in the very next moment, there was only Emrinalini's reflection in the mirror. Ritvik convinced himself that it must have been a trick of light and shadow. Strange things had been happening over the past few days. The shock of the accident, lack of sleep, the atmosphere of this old royal mansion, all of it could have made his eyes see things that weren't really there. Emrinalini was still sitting in front of the mirror, combing her hair. Suddenly, Ritvik asked, "Why are they dressing you up so much today?" Emrinalini stopped combing her hair and, still looking into the mirror, said, "Don't you like it?" Ritvik was slightly taken aback. "I didn't say that." Then, this time, she turned and looked at Ritvik. "How do I look to you today?" Ritvik remained silent for a few moments. Emrinalini smiled. "Do you have to think so much?" Ritvik slowly walked toward her. "I'm thinking whether you'll be angry if I tell you the truth." "Go ahead. Looking at you today, it feels like all the lights in this house are glowing just for you." The smile on Emrinalini's face gradually softened. "Do you always say things like that?" "No." "Then why are you saying it today?" Looking into her eyes, Ritvik said, "Because today, looking at you, I feel like maybe tomorrow I won't get to see you anymore." Emrinalini's expression changed instantly. The comb slipped from her hand and fell to the floor. The air inside the room suddenly felt heavy. "Don't say that." Ritvik looked at her in surprise. "Why, I was just—" "No." Emrinalini stepped toward him. "Never say something like that." There was such terror in her voice that Ritvik could no longer joke about it. He said softly, "Okay, I won't, but why did you get so scared?" Emrinalini didn't answer. Tears had begun to gather in her eyes. For the first time, Ritvik realized that behind this girl's smile was something hidden, something he still knew nothing about. Very softly, he said, "Emrinalini." The girl looked up at him. Ritvik asked, "Is there something you want to tell me?" Emrinalini stared at him for a long time. Then she smiled faintly and said, "Will you listen to me? Whatever you want to say. What if you don't believe what I tell you?" Ritvik stepped even closer to her. "Then I'll sit beside you and not believe it, but I won't leave you alone and walk away." This time, tears truly filled Emrinalini's eyes. Very softly, she said, "You don't know how much these words mean to me." Ritvik said nothing. He simply took her hand. Emrinalini's hand was as cold as before. But this time, Ritvik didn't let go. That night, the two of them sat side by side on the second-floor balcony of the mansion. The full moon hung in the distance. Silver light covered the garden below. Slowly, Emrinalini said, "Have you ever wondered how long a person can wait?" Ritvik asked, "For what?" "To get someone back." Ritvik thought for a while before answering. "As long as there is hope in their heart." Emrinalini smiled faintly. "And what if the hope dies? Then the waiting ends too." "Always." Ritvik looked at her this time. "Are you waiting for someone?" Emrinalini fell silent. After a long while, she said, "Yes." A strange feeling stirred inside Ritvik's chest. He couldn't understand why. Perhaps it was jealousy, perhaps fear, or perhaps something deeper than either of those. "Did he leave you?" Emrinalini slowly nodded. Maybe. Some people leave, but their promises remain." Ritvik remained silent for a while. Then he asked, "Do you still love him?" Emranalini looked at him. "Do you really want to hear the answer?" This time, Ritvik looked away. "I don't know." Emranalini smiled softly. "Thank you for being honest," Ritvik said, slightly irritated. "Why are you smiling?" "Because you're jealous for the first time." Ritvik looked at her in surprise. "Me jealous?" "Yes." "Not at all." "Then why are you asking so many questions about someone from my past?" Ritvik couldn't find an answer. Emranalini leaned closer and whispered, "Ritvik, do you like me?" Ritvik's heart trembled. He remained silent for a long time. Then very slowly he said, "A little more than just liking you." The smile disappeared from Emranalini's face. "How much more?" This time, Ritvik looked directly into her eyes. "Enough, that the thought of leaving you behind makes me feel terrible." Emranalini stared at him, holding her breath. Ritvik continued, "I don't know who was in your life, I don't know what you're waiting for, but these past few days, I can't imagine this house without you anymore." Emranalini's lips trembled. "Ritvik, you don't know what you're saying." "I do. You don't know me. Even so, I trust you. There are so many things about me you don't know." "Then let me know you." Emranalini lowered her eyes. Then she whispered, "What if you still love me after you learn everything?" Ritvik smiled. "Then you won't have anywhere left to run." Emranalini looked at him and laughed. Wiping away her tears, she said, "You're very stubborn. And you're very mysterious. Then we're both in trouble." Ritvik smiled faintly. "Perhaps." They remained silent for a while. Then slowly, Emranalini rested her head on Ritvik's shoulder. Ritvik didn't move. He simply placed his hand gently over her head. Closing her eyes, Emranalini whispered, "I wish this moment would never end." Ritvik replied very softly, "Then I won't let it end." Emranalini didn't open her eyes. She only asked, "Promise?" Ritvik took her hand in his and said, "Promise." At that exact moment, a heavy sound echoed from the ground floor of the mansion. Bang! Ritvik immediately stood up. "Is someone downstairs?" Emranalini suddenly grabbed his hand tightly. "Don't go." "But that sound." "I said don't go." Ritvik looked at her face. There was unmistakable fear in Emranalini's eyes now. "What happened?" She didn't answer. Another sound came from downstairs. This time, it sounded as though someone was slowly walking across the wooden floor. Thud, thud, thud. Ritvik frowned. "Is there someone else here?" Emranalini slowly shook her head. "No." "Then what is that sound?" Emranalini tightened her grip around his hand. Her cold fingers were trembling. In this house, there are some sounds whose answers you should never look for. Ritvik now stood directly in front of her. "Emranalini, will you tell me the truth?" Emranalini stared at him. Then very slowly she asked, "Do you really want to know the truth?" "Yes." "Then marry me tomorrow night." Ritvik froze. Outside, a fierce wind suddenly began to blow. Somewhere in the distance, a shayna began to play. Looking into his eyes, Emranalini whispered, "Marry me, Ritvik, then I'll tell you everything." Ritvik stared at her for a while. Then he smiled faintly. "Do you realize this is the strangest marriage proposal in the world?" Tears appeared in Emranalini's eyes. "Then say no." Ritvik took her hand. "I haven't said no yet." Emranalini stared at him, holding her breath. Ritvik slowly said, "I don't need a reason to marry you." Tears began to roll down Alina's cheeks. "You don't know who I am." Ritvik wiped away her tears and said, "Then I'll find out after we're married." In a trembling voice, Alina asked, "What if there is no way back after that?" Ritvik smiled faintly. "Do I want to go back?" Alina continued staring at him. Then slowly, she buried her face against Ritvik's chest. After so many years, it seemed as though she had finally found shelter in someone's arms. But Ritvik didn't see. Standing in the darkness of the corridor behind her was the bride with the burnt face, and in her hand, she held an old wedding garland. To be continued.